And we are back. And we just finished watching 2022's The Woman King, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours and 15 minutes. This is currently streaming on Netflix. Is that where we saw it? Yes.
Yeah.
And says, according to IMDb, it's available, I guess, still in theaters and available to buy rent from Prime. This is directed by
Gina Prince-Bythewood.
Gina Prince-Bythewood, yes. With writing credits to Dana Stevens and story credits to... Oh, wow, wait a minute.
What's that?
Screenplay by Dana Stevens with story credits to the actress Maria Bello and Dana Stevens. That's interesting.
Yeah. Didn't she, produce something else?
Did she? I don't know.
I could swear I've heard her name associated with other...
That's interesting because I
productions.
don't really think of her as anything but an actress. But apparently she does do other things. Yes, she's written this and produced things. And also soundtrack, it looks like.
Sound like making music?
That's what it's soundtrack. It says here on IMDb. She did something in 2000 called Duets. I Can't Make You Love Me. That Bonnie Raitt song that always wrecks me. How dare she?
Yeah, she's multi-talented.
Yeah. This stars Viola Davis as General Nanisca.
I think that's how they pronounce it.
Yeah, who is the leader of the Dahomey female army called the Agojie,
yes.
Agojie. And this takes place in Western Africa in the 1800s, where the Dahomey are in constant battle with the Oyo Empire.
Yeah.
And
who are apparently larger than they are and have horses and more guns. But they've got this crazy fighting force.
Fighting women army that's just unstoppable, pretty much. And completely feared, I think. There's that opening sequence when you see them coming up, and it's like the men are just quaking in their boots.
Yeah.
For the most part.
And I think it's also, I guess, I'm sure it's a matter of shame too, if it's just imagine these big tough guys and suddenly this
getting beat
a bunch
by
of
women
women just come and just whoop their ass. The shame.
Don't mess with Viola Davis. That's all I'm saying.
She's
tough.
Amanda Waller.
Yeah. Also tough lady in the month of women's history. Kicking ass and taking names later, that Viola Davis.
Tough bird.
She sure is. This was really good. I mean, it was a really good drama / action movie. I liked it more than I thought I would.
It had some pretty elaborate action fighting sequences.
Yeah.
I mean, they were doing some kung fu type stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't excessively gory.
No.
I could see why that it only has the PG-13 rating, despite the fact that they're hacking at each other with swords, but nobody's getting limbs cut off,
and you don't see it,
or heads
you don't
chopped
see too
off
much
or
of it.
anything like that. You just see somebody gets hit in the belly with something, and then
or
they
sometimes
fall
you just see in the battle sequences, you just see the upper portion of the person just swinging their weapon, but you don't really see what's underneath the frame. Of the shot.
Like I said, it's not too graphic.
Yeah.
It's kind of just right for, I guess, a PG-13
movie. Yeah.
Sort of action movie.
Yeah, I'm super impressed. I mean, the other thing that we'd seen by Gina Prince-Bythewood was The Old Guard, which was also a really good action piece.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I think I like this one more, though. I think the story behind this one was more interesting.
This one definitely had more of a story to it.
And the fight sequences were really, really well done.
Fight sequences are really well done. The character interactions were good. It's always interesting to see, even from what I understand, it's based upon actual things in history. I mean, they took some serious liberties here.
Sure.
But historical stuff is always interesting to me.
Sure. And this is obviously something that isn't taught in schools. You have to actively
Not really.
search
I
for
mean,
this.
it's sort of like when you're in school. It's just like, oh, and there was the slave trade, but you don't really see any. There's no details ever really given. It's just sort of like
two sentences.
They put them on the ship and they sent them over, and that's it. You don't really see the fact that these people are captured prisoners and they're tortured and whatnot. You get like a little bit more of a perspective of what was going on over there in Africa during that time, and how this became what it became.
Yeah, agreed.
Their kingdoms depended upon basically the slave trade. Selling off captives to what was
the French. The French.
Were they French or Portuguese?
Well, in the film, I think they were Portuguese, but according to the article, they were French.
Oh, I'm just going by the. That's the thing where it's sort of like fictionalized. I'm sure there's a lot more details they could have gone into, but they didn't serve any sort of story purpose.
Yeah.
For this, it's just you just see one Portuguese
slave trader and
his friend who actually is the son of a
slave
of Dahomey slave that was brought to Portugal, I guess.
Yeah.
And was brought up as this slave trader's friend, I guess, or I guess they were friends.
I don't know. I mean, I think they were, but yeah.
He didn't seem too broken up about his friend's predicament there at the end, but
no, he caused it, so he couldn't have been too broken up about it. I also thought it was interesting how most of the action, most of the story is dependent on the women. The men are sort of like side characters. Even the king.
Yeah, even the king.
He's just a side character.
He's rarely seen. I think there's a certain point where you think he may be a cause of trouble, but he's actually a good guy.
King, yeah.
And the way they portray it in the movie, which apparently isn't what exactly happened in reality, it seems like, he's this, I guess, forward-thinking guy who believes that, we shouldn't be doing this. I'm going to listen to
my general,
Viola Davis's character, who says we don't need to do this. This is wrong. We shouldn't be selling people, even if they are captured people. We should be making money a different way with our crops and palm oil and whatnot. And the king is sort of on the fence. His wife is just like
one of his wives.
He has lots of wives.
Yes.
One of his wives is basically like, don't rock the boat. We got something good going here.
And it's almost like she's jealous of the general because of how she curries favor with the king. It's almost like she's in this silent competition with the general for the king's ear.
Even though she doesn't really
contribute much.
Not really. She doesn't really contribute anything aside from her pretty face.
That
was it. Yeah. The Viola Davis, she is this destroying people for this guy. And even in the face of insurmountable odds where they're fighting a force larger than the force that they have, because they're fighting a larger kingdom. She's still out there just wrecking people. Yeah.
And that's another thing, too, without giving too many spoilers. She makes a decision going against the king's favor or wishes in order to do the right thing. And in the end is triumphant. So
she has a good character arc there.
Yeah,
I like because in the beginning she's just like stone cold.
Yes, but then she has the realization.
Various things happen
to her that
sort of change her. And it's like she kind of learns almost through example, but not just by example, but by who's setting the example. Mm-hmm. Won't give too many details away in that respect because it's an interesting part of the story.
Absolutely. And I think it's a worthwhile watch. I would recommend this film. I think if I was going to give this a number between 1 and 10, I would give this a 7.5.
Yeah, I think I would be right around there too. 7.5.
Yeah, I mean, from where it starts to where it ends. Again, it's great when things are brought to the light. And this is something, obviously, that I never learned about in school. I had no idea about.
I mean, you see, like I said, you kind of have like a rough idea of what was going on, but you never really get any details or
I
names
never knew there were women warriors.
No, I don't mean that. I was just talking about like the slave trade in general.
Oh, the slave trade. No.
I didn't know anything, but I thought this was the first women warriors in Africa, to me, were the Dora Milaje from
like, I was just gonna say Black Panther, right? But you know what's so funny?
They probably borrowed it from
here. That had to be, right?
Had to be, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because the
King's Guard are all women.
All these women.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you have to realize that art imitates life and life imitates art. And it's funny when you put the pieces together in a way, right? Because it's like, oh, it was there all along. You just have to look for it. And now we have something like Google. Like when I was my children's age, I would have to schlep in the elements to the library to get this kind of information.
Look at an encyclopedia that's like older than your parents.
Yes, and that's even if it existed, right? Because not everything was written in that time. I think since that time, books have been updated, more research has been done, more papers have been written. So you get more of this information now, which I think is fantastic. And it's a shame that we don't teach this stuff to our kids, because in order to understand where we are and where we're going, we have to look at the past. We have to look at what we were, and we have to appreciate how far we've come. I think that it's almost a disservice in a way, but I encourage people, especially young people, just to, as the daughter of immigrants, as the daughter, first generation of immigrants, it was always impressed upon me that education was so important. And my father, and I'm sure other people have said this, every day should be a day for learning. If you could learn one new thing a day, you've conquered the day, even if it's a small Snapple fact. I think that the world is full of ideas and beauty, and we have to bring that into our lives. I want to dedicate this episode of the podcast to my new friend and colleague at work, Marcia, who is just an amazing person, and I look to her for guidance, and I enjoy our conversations. And they, as a Black woman in this country who's seen many things, I appreciate her, and I appreciate her life experiences, and I listen and I want to learn, because I want to be a good ally and friend, and not only that, but just a good and decent human being. And I think that stories like this also add to that tapestry of being more educated and more well-rounded. Again, a lot of the things that were in the story are fictional, but there is a lot of truth in here. And once you do the research, you come to see what those things are. But it's up to us to do the work.
Yeah, history is fascinating.
Absolutely.
It's like you said, it's more easy than ever to find out stuff and find it out in entertaining ways. I personally enjoy a YouTube channel called Biographics, which talks about just various characters and events in history, and it's always fascinating. Yes, from every different era, every different country.
We'll throw a link in the blurb for that too.
Yeah, give that guy's YouTube channel a shot.
Yeah.
Always fascinating.
Yeah, and I also want to call attention to, this is something else, but the HBO one-season Watchman show where they talked about Black Wall Street. Again, this is stuff that isn't taught in the schools, but the information is out there, and if you really, really look for it, you'll find it. There is no excuse, as my friend Marcia says, there is no excuse to be stupid in this day and age. There is none. Do the work. Learn. Be a better human being. Those are my wishes for not just myself, but for everyone. And I think that we can move in better directions once we understand the struggle of other people and listen with empathy and compassion, because we don't know what people's lives are like. And even in this film itself, the general has had her fair share of heartache and just absolute pain and suffering. Mm-hmm. And in the end, there's joy, but I think that it comes from living the life and surmounting those obstacles and continuing the fight. This is a woman that fought not only for herself, but for her people, and continued to fight, and always walked in the light of righteousness, and always, even though she had her allegiance to the king, always did the correct thing. And I think that too is like a beautiful example of womanhood and strength and valor and courage and bravery. it's too bad that this film didn't get more love. I think that it got love here and there in little pockets. It was completely shut out at the Oscars, unfortunately, which is terrible because I think that this film spoke to me, and I think that if other people had given this film a shot, it would have spoken to them as well. I think that sometimes people shy away from things that are different from them because they assume that they don't understand. So I think, I feel like it's unfortunate that people didn't give this a shot. I think that if they had...
Well, did it get like a wide release? I don't know. I think this was more of like maybe like an indie sort of release.
Possibly, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't believe.
I don't remember seeing
this got
too
a wide
much
release.
advertising for this.
And the only thing I really recall hearing about it is some people were upset about the depiction of the slave trade in it.
Because what?
I think they were mad because of I guess, now that I've seen it, I'm guessing they were mad about the whole fictionalization about how it ends in the movie. Mm-hmm. And that's not really how it happened in reality. And so
I see what you're saying.
They were like, you're not
being truthful.
You're not being honest here. You're sort of like making these people out to be sort of like beneficial, and they never were.
I did not know that. I didn't know that there was controversy about this film. The only thing I had read was...
it wasn't like all the rage, and it was all because it really didn't get, like I said, it wasn't a major release movie.
No, but I don't remember seeing ads for
I
this
believe
film.
when it first came out, there was like talk about, this is a very worthy subject and a fascinating look into history. But then when, I guess, people who knew more about it saw it, and they were just like, nah, this isn't an accurate depiction, which is like, I don't know. Maybe in the way that they advertised it, they made it seem like it was not really fictionalized at all. Because usually when you get like a fictionalized view of history, like let's say 300, mm-hmm. There are people who bitch about 300 saying, they're depicting people from Persia as monsters and stuff. 300 is not a historical movie. It's absolute fiction.
Yeah.
I mean, there are monsters, for Christ's sake. That should have been the first giveaway when you saw those big fat monster guys with the swords for hands and so I think with this, I don't think they emphasized the fact enough that, okay, this is sort of a fictionalized account. And I think people like historians and people who are aware of this, you sort of like sugar-coated this king and whatnot.
I did not know that. Well, I don't know anything about this. I actually want to read more about it. But
when you explained it to me, I was like, it sort of like rang a little bell in my head, that because I remember there was some complaint about that. And then after I heard about that complaint, I didn't hear any more buzz about this movie, because I think when it first was released, there was a bit of a buzz about it.
I think it did decently at the box office.
I think it got some critical acclaim, but then people complain.
Right. And that sort of
and
again, it didn't get any nominations at the Oscars.
Yeah, well, I think the complaint.
I think Viola Davis won an acting award, but at the BAFTAs.
I don't know. I think because of the complaints and the sensitive subject, obviously,
it got shut out.
It was like, you know what? Let's just
put that aside.
Put this on the shelf and move on.
Yeah. All right. I could see that. I mean, it's unfortunate because not to beat a dead horse, but I found this action drama more entertaining than Top Gun Maverick.
I, too, found this more entertaining than Top Gun Maverick, yeah. Well, I don't want to get on the top, because Top Gun...
And yet that is an Oscar-nominated film.
I am still baffled by this. Oh. It is like... It's like magic. I don't understand what I am seeing.
Yeah.
And like, how did this happen?
I don't know.
Where did he pull that rabbit out of? I don't know. It's amazing.
Did the Scientologists all buy like theater tickets? And there's not even that many Scientologists in the world.
Yes, that's the thing. There's no way they could have done that just by themselves. Other people were just like,
maybe they lassoed in the Mormons.
Just like an alliance. Got the Moonies in there.
Was it Heaven's Gate? Gators.
The one guy left from Heaven's Gate. Couple couple of those Nixium people who are still
jeez.
protesting outside the prison.
Good Lord. What the hell? That is, let's not even get into that. That is so upsetting.
It's just nothing but cultists.
1 to 10. What are you going to give this?
We agreed 7.5.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, we already went over the numbers.
Did we?
We sure did.
Wow, I'm blanking out big time.
You know what? It's the whole Puss in Boots thing.
It really threw me off.
As soon as discussion on the pronunciation of Puss in Boots arises,
I
thoughts
just
of
lose
all other,
Just
it's gone.
Vacate. Because I'm desperate. Because for the longest time, all I kept saying was Puss in Boots. And like my daughter is like, pus is the thing that comes out of a pimple. It is not Puss in Boots, Mom. It is not Puss. But that's the way I've always said it, Puss in Boots.
And then suddenly you transform to Puss.
I'm trying to
like you're
say
Canadian
it
or
correctly,
something.
and I can't.
Puss in Boots.
God damn it! I can't get it right. I say it right once and twice, and then it goes back to whatever the hell I was saying.
Hoser.
All right, so I would actually recommend this film if you haven't seen it. It's currently streaming on Netflix. I think it's still in the theater. It came out later in the year last year, but I think it is on Netflix.
Fall, I think.
So if you want to check it out, you don't even have to leave the comfort of your home. You can just tune into Netflix, select it from the library, and then just watch it.
Yeah, easy.
Easy peasy, living breezy.
That's one way of saying that. Yeah.
God.
All right.
I'm sorry.
You clearly
Again,
are tired.
this episode of the podcast is dedicated to the lovely and wonderful Marcia. I'm so glad I know you. I am so glad that we are traversing this journey together, and I look forward to many more chats with you. You are an amazing human being, and I am honored to know you. That is it from us, and we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.